Those who sent their nudes to the wrong person, what happened? How did they respond? Not a nude, but I accidentally sexted my boss thinking I was talking to my husband. He sent back, "I don't think this was meant for me." I sent him the biggest apology ever, and we never spoke about it ever. Commenter, I did the same thing with my platoon sergeant. Pic of my banana with the caption, "Love you," that was supposed to go to my ex. He just replied, "I like you, but this isn't love. Kill me." Edit, for the folks bad at inferring context, she wasn't my ex at the time. Honestly, if there ever was a profession where sending an unsolicited pic to your boss would be met with zero repercussions, it would be enlisted military. Story 2. Happened with one of my exes. She got a new phone and was updating her contacts. She chose my banana pic as her temporary profile pic for when I called. I was at work while she was getting her gallbladder taken out. Started to worry because she should have been in post-op and almost discharged by then. So I kept calling and it would ring twice then, straight to voicemail. Redial, ring once, straight to voicemail. Redial 2 more times, straight to voicemail. Turns out her mom had her belongings and my angry bone kept saying hello, up close and personal over and over. Family dinners were awkward for a while after that. Commente. So when I was in college, I did a semester in England, and when there started dating this chick from my same school, that was in the program. When there, she bought a pair of Dr. Martens and had her hair cut short. My father came for a visit and took the lot of us out for dinner, and after a few drinks teased her that Dr. Martens were a lesbian sescort back home. It was the 90s, so it wasn't as bad as it sounds, and it was all in good fun. Anyways, after this, and before we went home, I bought her one of the myriad of postcards from England at the time that had hot chicks at different London landmarks. I sent it to her mailbox at school and said, "The girls of London missed you." Anyways, the school got the postcard, saw she was abroad, and forwarded the postcard to her parents' house. Her mother called and said, "You got an interesting postcard from your friend, Basil." We dated for maybe 6 years after, and I was known as Postcard Kid in her family. Story 3. Sent to the wrong person? No. Posted to my Facebook feed? Yes. Few family members unfriended me. Got a few DMs asking, did I realize what I did? 2 DMs asking if I had more. Not family, before you ask. Commenter, I have one like this that haunts me. When Instagram first came out, like before I had ever even heard anyone talking about it, I thought it was a new photo editing app that let you put cool filters on your phone pictures and kept a little album for you, like any normal photo editing app would do. Keep in mind back then, there wasn't really social media centered around pictures, so I had no concept of that. I took some nudes on there and put lil filters on them and stuff and sent them to a boyfriend, then didn't think of it again. Months later, I get a text from a very kind ex saying, "Did you know your cute lil boobies are on Instagram and everyone can see them?" I was mortified. Apparently, he could find my profile because it recommended it via contacts or something, which I also had no concept of at that time. Not many socials did that back then, so I have no idea how many people saw those pictures. Oops. To add insult to injury, I wasn't signed into the account anymore, so I was desperately trying to remember what email and password would get me in. Story 4. I was meaning to text my boyfriend the picture, but must have still been in the iMessage chat to my dad at the time, and sent it without checking. Seeing that the nude had been texted to my dad, I immediately called him. I was going to ask him to delete the pictures, and that they were inappropriate and were supposed to go to my boyfriend. That way, he wouldn't see the images themselves. He would just know I had taken nudes. Somehow, by the grace of God, my sister answered his phone, as she was living at home at the time. I begged her for help, and she was able to delete the images off his phone. My dad never knew the incident ever occurred. I asked my sister how I could repay her, and she asked me to never, ever bring it up again. I owe her one, eternally. Commentaire. You were so lucky, and I love your sister's response to just simply never mention it again. I had similar where I accidentally sent to my dad's phone. I stood there instantly feeling sick to my stomach after panic canceling the message didn't work, only to then hear his phone notification bleep in the house. By a stroke of luck, he had gone out and forgot his phone, so I was able to instantly delete it. Story 5. Sent a banana pic to my family WhatsApp group instead of my girlfriend who requested it. I got a lot of laughs from my sisters. A well done from my father and not a single word from my mother, who to this day denies it happened. It was a horrible experience. Story 6. I was 26 at the time, just shaved my junk. It was looking mighty presentable, so I decided the GF needed to see. I mistakenly sent it to my older brother. He replied with, "I don't think that was meant for me." I died a little inside. It was never spoken of again. Story 7. I did one some years back. F sent a snap to F coworker. I had absolutely no idea until I got a snap from her telling me I looked nice and asked if she was supposed to return the favor. Told her it was completely up to her, but it was an accident. She sent me one back anyways. We left it at that, and we would bring it up every once in a while and just giggle about it. Haven't seen her since I left that job, but this question definitely brought this memory back. Edit. I made this comment, went to bed, and didn't think about it this morning until I opened Reddit not long ago. I was reading the comments and y'all were making me laugh. It's so weird to have the most upvoted comment be me about sending a hot pic to a coworker. Commenter 1. This is why the stereotype of useless lesbians exists. Women are doing this 100% platonically, and so of course lesbians can't be sure that something is flirting. No, she was probably just sending me nudes to be polite. There's no way she's into me. Commenter 2. Reading this story, all I could think was, what are the chances this poor woman was over in one of the lesbian Reddits asking about this? So she sent me a pic where she's naked, then she said it was a mistake, but then she was interested in getting one from me. Do you think she's into me? Story 8. Not me, but my wife. She has sent a very explicit nude of hers to her mother instead of me. End result. Masala, you're beautiful, as response from my mother-in-law. Then similar responses from her sisters and sisters-in-law because, yeah, her mother forwarded it. Story 9. A couple of years ago, my actual girlfriend was on vacation with her family and sent a picture of her naked to my sister, instead of me, by mistake. I remember I was at a friend's party and suddenly receive a text from my sister saying she had finally gathered the courage to tell me she was sorry for secretly having sex with my GF for a while and that she had taken a picture for proof, attaching it to the message. I was slightly stoned but enough to believe to everything for hours, until I realized the picture was a selfie taken in front of a mirror. Story 10. My friend accidentally sent his hot pic to his ex. He wanted to send it to his date. Two things happened. One, he got back together with her, they got married and are happy. The date was sleeping with other dudes. Edit 1. Wow, this blew up. Read the comment section and thought I'd just give some people closure on certain things. Firstly, my friend and his now wife had problems in their relationship because she was sick. She broke up with him because she didn't want him to get involved. He is one of the nicest guys I know, and if she died, she didn't want him to be crushed. They had like a long talk before breaking up. After getting back together, he basically went with her for every doctor's appointment, worked really hard to support her, and when she was off chemo, they got married. After going on a date, the date asked him to send her a couple of nudes. She vocalized she likes big bananas, to see if he was big. The pics weren't on the same day, he found out after he accidentally sent the pic to X, and thought she not responding to it was weird. He didn't know at the time, plus her asking for it. Another thing to note, the girl he went on a date with claimed she was a virgin and would only save herself for after marriage. He found out a few days later, after sending pic, that she was basically sleeping around with other dudes, some before meeting him, and 2 dudes before going on a date with him that night. So, to you guys who think I'm shaming her, I'm kindly not. I'm just telling the story as it is. Finally, for the one guy who said I should continue my numbering, Edit 2. As to how the hot pickies saved their relationship, I have no clue. They are a weird, wholesome bunch, and I loved watching them. I was 15 then, interacting. He knew what she wanted. She knew what he wanted. They were really supportive of one another. Edit 3. To you who gave me an award, you are the real MVP. Story 11. Yes, he showed everyone. It wasn't the wrong number, but he was definitely the wrong person. He showed the entire school had a similar thing happen. I was in my first year of high school. I was a strange kid, wore gloves because I had a texture thing, was a bit of a metalhead, Black Iron Maiden hoodie, etc. Girl sat next to me in a science class, saw my test results, invited me over to tutor her. I was shy, not used to attention from the opposite sex. I say yes, take bus to her place. Parents aren't home. Isn't just me going to her house. 2 other girls. Try going over the fundamentals of where she was going wrong in her answers. They are obviously not interested and cannot focus for even a minute. Long story shorter, they managed to get me onto the bed, try to remove my clothing, and I panic. One snaps pictures of my nether regions with a flip phone while I struggle to get away from the other 2. Eventually, I run outside, hearing them laugh at me the whole time. Not having any idea where I am in town, I wander until I find my way to a convenience store. Ask to use the phone for a ride home. Never tell my parents. Next day at school, everyone is staring. Some are laughing. I skipped that class for a few days, getting crap for it, etc. I'm oversharing. Story 12. My high school boyfriend's best friend sent me a hot pic. He was a great guy, so I was horrified and I just sent back, WTF. He apologized profusely and said another girl whose name started with my same letter was supposed to get it, but he hit my contact instead. I didn't tell my BF for ages because I was so weirded out, and when I finally did, he was like, yeah, I know. My friend told me immediately after it happened. I was just waiting to see how long it took you to tell me. So kind of funny. Story 13. I had 2 in my phone didn't have last names added. One was a love interest. The other was a good friend. Dot was a bit tipsy and just kind of clicked and went for it. Picked the wrong one. Got some fantastic feedback, but they have never let me live it down to this day. It's been 2 years. Commenter. My wife has me and a friend with the same first name on her phone. Sometimes that friend will message me and say my wife needs me to bring something. It is kind of funny. Dude on the other side of the country telling that my wife needs popcorn. Right, on it. Story 14. So a friend of mine, female, accidentally sent one to her dad. He then responded with something like, I know that I have a beautiful daughter, but you should not send me nudes. Very embarrassing for her, but a wholesome response from the father. Story 15. My bestie is a chick. She was dating a guy who had the same name as me. She came home blind drunk one night while her partner was interstate with work and sent me the hot pic that was meant for him. We are pretty tight, and before I could reply with niece, she messaged me via text saying, Duck, sorry, man, but if it's anyone seeing me without my gear on, I'm glad it's you. I was touched that she was so cool with it. So I wrote back, nice boobs, mate. We still laugh about it today. Story 16. I once accidentally sent a picture a girlfriend took of her on top of me riding. It showed my tattoo in her body. To my dad. I didn't know she took the picture. I hope he didn't keep it. Commenter. My wife and my mom's names start with the same letter and are next to each other on my contact list. I accidentally told my mom that I wanted to eat her pussy after she got off work. My dad called me laughing his ass off, thinking it was hilarious. My mom did not find it funny at all. Story 17. I accidentally posted a video of me moaning to my Snapchat story at 3 a.m. instead of to just the one person I was sexting. For some reason, one of my friends was awake at that time besides the person I was sexting, and they saw it. You are disgusting, she told me, and then removed me from Snapchat. Luckily, this was after we worked together, but I feel like most people would understand that it was not on purpose. I promptly removed it from my story after she messaged me. Unfortunately for the person I was sexting, I was too embarrassed to do any more sexting that night after that. Story 18. This was when email was still fairly new. I sent it to a guy friend. He saw immediately what had happened. I was dating a mutual friend with the same first name as him, and what I wrote with the picture made it clear. He quickly deleted it and then sent me a note telling me what had happened. Not that I ever mind naked pictures, but wink emoji. So, everything was good, except it wasn't. It was horrible. Because he didn't send me that note, he sent it to a business acquaintance with the same first name as me. Ended up being much worse for him. I ended up calling her. Story 19. Not quite a nude, but my mother, in her early 60s, took a selfie of herself in a French maid outfit, which was an apron and nothing else except her waving around a feather duster. She meant to send it to Al, her husband, but accidentally sent it to all, including my husband, myself, our daughters, my in-laws, and every single person in her extensive contact list. My husband, who has played lawn bowls since he was 19, rang and said, "What if has your mother done?" I had no idea, as I don't bother much with my phone. He said he was at afternoon tea when this photo of her in a ducking apron and feather duster arrived. I said, "I'm really sorry, I'll call her." He said, "Forget it. All the old blokes at the bowls club want her number." Story 20. He sent one to my ex-boyfriend's gay roommate instead of him on accident. He just responded with, "Not my cup of tea, but go off, queen," and proceeded to take me underwear shopping because he said I should get a matching bra and panty set. Commenter. My friend was tutoring some girl at school and decided to creep her social media. Come to find out she has tons of followers and is in great shape and posts tons of sexy photos. In disbelief, I ask for a pic. So he saves a pic of her in a bikini and sends it to *me*, but accidentally sent it to her. No words, just a pic of her in a bikini from months ago. She replied going, "Okay, where did you get this?" He tried to save himself by saying, "Oh, I stumbled on this. What's your fitness secrets, etc." She wasn't buying it. Pretty hilarious on my end, though. Story 21. Sent it to the wrong person with the same name, immediately followed by thousands of sorries. She already screenshotted it and sent it to a few friends, unfortunately. One part of me was incredibly ashamed. The other part didn't give a crap because my banana looks fine. Story 22. Not a nude, but I accidentally sent a very explicit sexed paragraph to one of my close girlfriends instead of my partner, before Snapchat had the ability to delete messages, so I was forced to just let it happen. I sat with a pounding heart after spam texting not to read it and just swipe out. She read it, and then told me improvements I can make on my wording. Tried my best to awkwardly laugh it off. BC, she died, but God, was it embarrassing? Story 23. Not a hot pic, but I once had a boss ask to see a pic of my kids, and when I pulled up my photos, first thing that popped up was me in bra and underwear for my weight loss progress pics. I would take monthly. That was awkward. We didn't say a word, both acted like it didn't happen. Story 24. I was laughed at and applauded at the same time. It was the most embarrassing thing I've ever experienced. Sure, I do okay, but I don't want the world seeing or knowing. All because a fling back in the day asked for a picture. Phone locks weren't a thing back then. So my friends at the time literally sent my forgotten pic to everyone on my phone while I was walking another friend home after a fun night of drinking. I'm not small nor huge, but large enough to catch attention, and it did, from everyone. I had 200-ish people on my phone, and my friends sent the photo to everyone, including people on their phone and MySpace accounts. Needless to say, I'm not friends with them anymore, and I almost got petty charges. My hot pic was sent to my sisters, 15 17ths at the time, mom, dad, etc. I hated my life for a long time. Story 25. I have a mole on my banana and I was supposed to send it to my girlfriend at the time, but I accidentally sent it to my best mate who ended up opening it in front of his mom. He had to explain to her it was all an accident, but I don't think she was ever convinced. Story 26. I was the recipient of a hot photo from my college friend's mom. Since she's a bit unpredictable and narcissistic, I'm still not sure if she sent it on purpose or not, even though she claimed it was an accident. Seemed a little hard to make than an accident, and she knew I had recently come out as a lesbian. Suspicious. Commenter, not me, but a person I went to college with. Basically, my course was very female-orientated, and there was only one guy on the course who was super sweet and friendly with everyone. We had a group chat on Snapchat, which we all used multiple times a day to meet up with people, swap notes. You can see where this is going. One day, he sent a banana pic to the group chat, which was apparently intended for his girlfriend. He noped out of there real quick after deleting it, but about half of us saw Mao. No one was angry at him, but I remember there being a lot of bless hims and low-key, secondhand embarrassment afterwards. Story 27. I was the wrong number the hot pic was sent to. I told him he had the wrong number, and then he said, "If you're a girl, do you mind sending a pic back?" I told him not to contact me ever again. After a quick Google of his number, I found him on Facebook, married with kids. Edit. He was married with kids. I'm happily engaged to someone that is not him. Story 28. When my friend got engaged, she took a pic of the ring on her finger and sent it into a group chat. Live photos had just come out, and so when we clicked the link, you could see the ring on her finger. But then her new fiancé walks his banana into view on the camera. Literally, everyone responded with a variation of, "Congratulations, girl, it's huge." Commenter was on the receiving end. Friend of mine had a habit of sending jokes and family updates to a group of people, which, while annoying as hell, I still enjoyed the updates. One day, he sent some meme out to us. That would be me, my wife, his wife, and most of his family and social group. A couple minutes later, his wife replied with a close-up, full frontal, and a reclined, completely nude photo to everyone. Friends, family, all of us got to see his wife's naughty bits. Apparently, she was trying to send to just him in another message, but obviously ducked up. There was a lot of surprised replies to that mistake. The group updates stopped after that. Story 29. When Snapchat first came out, I attempted to send one to my BF, but ended up posting it on my story. Within 3 minutes, it was screenshotted 10 plus times and sent around to older seniors college guys. Forgot the 3-syllable name of the detectives. But they showed up to my house to tell me and my mother they were posted online by older men who knew old how I was. Extremely embarrassing for 18 years old, to say the least. Another time, I was surrounded in the lunch line by seniors, as a freshman, who kept grabbing my ass a while surrounding me in a circle at lunchtime, and one took my phone. I started school a year earlier, so I turned 14 a day before freshman year and developed a body big ass at an early age, so it was hell freshman year. These guys were 18, 19. Anyway, he ran away with it, and I ran after him into his classroom while the teacher made me leave without retrieving my stolen phone. I finally got it back, but not before he sent the personal photos to the football team. No school officials ever intervened, and I thought it was normal jock behavior. Said guy ended up brutally abused his girlfriend a year later. Story 30. I once got the wrong hot pic from a person, letting slip her secret bisexuality she's still in denial about, largely due to her religious beliefs. Simply put, she sent me a full frontal of another woman, one that we both know personally. Story 31. When I was 18, my parents were divorced and hated each other, so when one parent would get pissed at the other, they would turn our phones off as punishment. So when my mom shut off my phone line, my dad turned mine on with his. Little did I know that my old phone number was connected to my mom's Apple ID, so any iMessages I sent were also being sent to her iPad. Now let's just say I was a sexually adventurous 18-year-old and was having fun sexting in great detail. This also included photos of myself. The next morning I wake up with messages from my mom saying, "My daughter is an escort. You're scum, how could you?" and screenshots of all the things I sent the night before. I was mortified, but what made it worse is that she emailed the sexts to my father and her 2 friends. My dad said he read the subject line and deleted the email right away without even reading it. He said it was no business off what his 18-year-old daughter did as long as I was safe. My mom's friends went off on my mother for such a blatant form of abuse. As a side, not my mom's friend said she even picked up some tip from me after reading the messages, so at least there was some positive side to things. Also, I was a virgin at the time. Story 32. The dads in my neighborhood have a WhatsApp group for talking about school events, camping trips, volunteering, community events, and drinking at the local bar. Imagine 40 middle-aged dudes who live within 10 blocks who are acquaintances having amiable small talk, and sometimes requests for support for some effort or another. One dad sent a video to the entire group which includes all of his neighbors, of himself talking dirty, taking his pants off, and doing good for himself. He promptly left the group. Story 33. Not exactly a hot pic, but when I was pregnant and my bump was starting to show, I took a picture of it to show my mom and sister, who at the time lived in another country, and you could see my boobs. Ended up sending it to the work group chat. Fortunately, the person who saw it was my other female collage, who told me and I could delete it before anyone else saw it, but I was mortified. No more pictures showing boobs from me. Story 34. My uncle put a hot pic on FB. First thing I saw when I opened FB that morning. My mom, his sister, commented about it not being the right place for that type of pic. Still horrifies me that I saw it, but my mom commenting horrified me more. Story 35. A decade ago, I had a weight loss challenge going with friends, and we were posting photos of our successes. One morning I woke and was really proud to see I was 10 pounds down. Although I was a little sleepy, I snapped a quick pic and posted it. Went about my morning routine and got to the office. As soon as I came to my office, my assistant came in and said with a terrified look, "Have you seen your Facebook? You should check right now." I looked and saw my photo and it had 300 likes and 70 comments. I was like, "Good post. What's the problem?" She gave me an indescribable look. I then saw a bunch of the likes were hilarious laughing emoji and with terror. I read some comments and felt the most indeed indescribably embarrassment of my life. Turns out my withing scale is reflective, and what did I see in the mirror right between my legs but my little morning stubby from the absolute worst angle? It literally looked like a micro banana posting my junk accidentally Facebook =, okay? Posting my junk in the worst angle to Facebook and having thousands of people, including all the people in the office that I managed, think I a micro =, unbearable. I don't know really what happened after, but I did get jokes for years and was walking around saying, "It's bigger than average, actually. It was just a bad angle," which usually just made it worse, but occasionally inspired a, "let's see," which I suppose was good. Story 36. I never sent a nude to a wrong person, but I got a hot pic from a friend that was meant to her boyfriend. As of today, I still have no idea if she did it on purpose or it was really an accident. Story 37. Oh my god, it's my time to shine. I posted this story years ago on Reddit, and I'm pretty sure I've got everyone beaten here. I hope for your sakes anyways. But here it actually is the topic of discussion. So here we go. When I was 22, I had an internship for the Buffalo Wild Wings marketing department. I was also running a lot at this time. Every time I would go and leave for a run, I would text my Jeff that I'm leaving for a run, just so someone knows where I am. I get a text from her mid-run asking for a special picture when I get back. I agree. Then I get a text from my female boss making sure I sent out some paperwork, which I did. I get home and I don't even want to take this stupid ducking picture. I just want to shower. But I get butt-ass naked and take a bathroom mirror selfie from head to kneecap and send it with a kiss face emoji. An hour later, I get a text from my GF that says, "Did you forget my special picture?" And I'm thinking, no WTF, I sent that. So I go into my texts and, oh no. Oh, duck. Into oblivion. No. I sent the hot pic to my boss. My heart sank straight into hell. I immediately try to do damage control and say it was not meant for her and that I'm so sorry. I even screenshotted the convo from my GF to show it was a mistake. No response. Went into the office the next day and was called into HR where I was fired. Crap. Ducking sucked. I had a great gig going. Makes for a great story though. Story 38. I had a student, university 20-year-old, email me very explicit hot pic. She actually sent 3 in a row. Full front, rear, and one very intimate close-up of her. You know, these photos were meant for her boyfriend. I share the same first name as her BF, and she messed up the email. Her nude email was immediately followed up by her complete embarrassment email. She did not handle it very well at all, emotionally. I called HR, my chair, and the dean. All 3 were female. I simply explained what happened. We all had a meeting with the student. I refused to show anybody the photos. I deleted them, permanently, and moved on. The student unfortunately had a hard time with it, and we did a rare mid-semester transfer to another professor. I understood completely, and assisted any way I could. I ended up having her in a graduate-level course a couple years later, and was part of her doctorate committee. Story 39. I've had 3 girls send me hot pic by accident. I usually just respond with, "Nice, thank you. Feel free to accidentally send me more. Worked 1/3 times. I'm cool with those odds." Story 40. Woke up to boobs from a wrong number one morning with the text, "I know you're gonna have a bad day, so here's my boobs to make it better." She was right. It did make my day better. Story 41. I accidentally posted a tit pic in my Snap story instead of one person. And it was like 9 a.m. I had recently added a tattoo artist, who I was really impressed with, and I had an APT months out for a consult for my first tattoo. He replied, "Well, good morning to you too." And I thought I would die. I deleted it and had my friend check it was gone on her end. But then I ended up being pretty friendly with this artist I admired because we both ended up joking about it, and he still does my ink like 7 years later, and I don't even remember who I was trying to send it to in the first place, so that worked out. Story 42. I went on a study abroad trip to Mexico City and university, and we had a group chat with all students, tilde 20, and our professor, just in the event someone got lost or sick, etc., while we weren't all together with the class. The trip was fine. My professor was great, not just in teaching us the curriculum, but as a Colombian, he is in love with CDMX, and he frequents it and knows all of the history and cool local spots. Once we got home, we were still somewhat active in the group chat because many of us had become close during the trip. One night, our entire chat receives a hot pic from the professor. We were all just in shock. He deleted it after a few messages, but the damage was done. He denied it and said he'd been hacked. You know, the old Twitter excuse. But someone screenshotted it and sent it to the dean. A brief aside, I genuinely think it was a mistake. Our chat was on WhatsApp, so I think that's how he communicated with his women abroad while he was back home and working. I think he just accidentally sent it to the wrong chat, and boy, what a duck-up that was. For context, he was like 55 at the time. The real kicker is that he didn't even get fired. Got suspended for a semester or something and came back to my university once I graduated. Story 43? Had a friend who did this. Two guys with the same name in her phone, and she sent it to the wrong one. He was some Tinder guy she never ended up meeting. She was mortified. I thought it could have been so much worse. I think he sent a hot pic back through the pants or something. She blocked him in shame and embarrassment. Story 44. I'm unintentionally sent a nude to my friend. I went abroad for a work conference and somehow ended up with a really fancy hotel room. I was messaging her telling her about this. I took a shower, and when I got out, looked at my phone, and she had asked for pics of the room, so I went out into the room to take some for her. Here I made my critical error in that I did this by standing in the middle of the room and twirling on the spot to get a full 360 degrees, rapidly taking a series of photos and sending them without critically assessing the content. About 5 seconds later, I got a message saying, "What the duck?" And to my horror, realized there was a photo of my completely naked reflection amongst the shots of the room I had just sent. I apologized, and luckily she believed me that it was an accident. I think the fact the photo was not flattering helped in that regard, and the friendship survived. This was 10 years ago, and to this day, if we get drunk together, she tells anyone who will listen that I sent her unsolicited naked photos and that she has one of me she will sell to them. Story 45. Sort of. I was fresh home from surgery, and my stomach was wide open. Only stitches held my two stomach halves together. It was messy and disgusting. I had a nurse friend who wanted a pic. The wound started just below my breasts and ended just above my pussy. I was trying to get a pic while I was alone and snapped it and sent it to her. Little did I realize I got more of my pussy than the wound. And I had a hilarious laugh when she went back, "What the duck?" I was unable to sit up, so it was a little hard getting the angle right, and I was so drooged still that I didn't think about double-checking the pic. Even now, I laugh about it. Story 46. I once managed to post a pic of mine in my public story on Snapchat whilst fooling around with my girlfriend. I'm not sure how I managed to do it besides using Snap to take the pictures. Lost decision. I managed to check Snap right away, and my poor cousin thankfully let me know what I had done. I believe he was the only person to see my shame since the story had one view. Who knows if any other friends saw and didn't open? I like to think not. I'm sure it was only up for a few minutes, and it was early hours after all. Glad I didn't just go to bed. Don't be under the influence on Snapchat, period. Super sorry, cousin. Happy you got my back, bro. Story 47. I was on the phone with my wife a month after I got out of boot camp. I was in SC and she was in TX, and we were talking dirty to each other. I was also texting my dad. She told me to send her a hot pic, and I took the picture where you could see my banana and my face. I was sticking my tongue out to be funny. Well, I guess you can tell where this is going. I sent it to my dad instead of my wife, and as soon as I realized, I was like, "Babe, I just sent that picture I took to my dad. I'll call you back." I call my dad and beg him not to open the message and tell him to just delete the whole text history. Well, he figures out why I don't want him to open it, and he says, "It's not like there's much to see with that tiny pen you've got." I just laughed, but I was extremely embarrassed. I'll never know if he actually opened up the picture or not. Story 48. One of the interns, F, around 19-ish, in my team sent me a full frontal. I was in a meeting and my brain didn't compute what I was seeing. It took me a few seconds to go from, "Woo, hot naked lady," to, "Wait, is that, to OMG, what am I looking at? She's a kid," to "Wait, how did I get this?" to "Why would she send this to me?" to "Was I giving wrong signals?" to "How am I going to explain this to my wife?" to "I'm going to get fired." Then I took a minute to think, deleted it, and replied, "Hey, I think this isn't meant for me. I've deleted this, and we don't need to speak of it again." Saw her in office the next day, and she totally avoided eye contact. She built the courage to come over to me a week later to apologize. I believe I handled it with a chuckle and asked her to forget about it, all the while resisting the urge to make 50 different dad jokes. Phew, that was an experience. Story 49. Sent a nude to a bandits. They demanded $500 or they would send my hot pic to all my family and friends on social media. If you pay, they ask for more. Low-life scum from Nigeria and the Philippines. Story 50. Never sent, but my BF did receive one. Contacted someone we knew through FB Marketplace about a dog crate he had listed online. They met up and handed things off just fine, but she wasn't able to pay right then, but could in a couple days. For context, her only gig at the time was OnlyFans. About a week passes and she reaches back out about the cost of the crate. My BF, deciding to be nice, tells her, you know what? No charge, just a picture of the cutie that's going to be using it. 5 minutes passes and she sent a photo with a message stating, kinda an old one, but one of my better ones. He pops it open to see her topless, what looks like after a shower. He messaged back and said, very nice, but I meant your dog. She found my FB profile immediately after and felt terrible. We told her it was fine and we still laugh about it. Story 51. A friend of mine meant to send a video of himself doing good to a girl he was seeing on Snapchat. He accidentally posted it for everyone to see. You were not able to see his face, so he later claimed a taxi driver had stolen his phone. This happens sometimes in my country. For weeks, he kept getting messages from all his friends, including posts on his social media addressed to the taxi driver as a joke, asking the taxi driver to stop doing this and give my friend his phone back. Haha, good times. Story 52. My ex-wife and long-term ex-girlfriend have the same name. First and middle spelled the same. When my ex-wife and I separated, we had a hard time doing so, constantly sleeping with each other or going out together. It was bad. I once got out the shower with a fresh shave in my nether regions and decided that I looked large and in charge. I sent a quick snap, but to the wrong woman. I didn't get a response on a reasonable time, so I checked and then found out I had sent it to the wrong woman. It was nothing to write home about, so I apologized profusely. She likes it, and I ended up taking her to get her nipples pierced. She was pretty sore, but also extremely grateful. Story 53. I sent a semi-hot pic of myself to 2 of my friends by accident. I didn't realize the chat with them was the most recent and sent a pic without looking at who it was to. I tried deleting it, but it was before the age of WhatsApp allowing messages to be unsent, so I had no chance. Luckily, I wasn't fully nude. One friend is a bit of a prude though and had a bit of a rant at me about how I was degrading myself. Blah, blah. It is still brought up occasionally, jokingly. I am very careful these days. Story 54. Accidentally sent them to my dad once. A friend of mine at the time had changed her name in my phone to Daddy. Same as my father's name in my phone. And, yeah, that was the day my dad saw my boobs and both of us being very awkward and generally uncomfortable people. We didn't speak for a few months. BC literally, neither of us knew WTF to say. Story 55. Yes, a Snapchat to my ex's stepdad. He replied, saying thank you. And I said it wasn't me and that someone else was using my phone. To which he replied he recognized the tattoo on my leg. Story 56. Sent a selfie of me lying down in bed into the My Family group chat, mom/dad/brother. Little did I know, my head was laying on my husband's tights and he had just come out of the shower. Basically, it almost looked like I was taking a selfie with his banana. I only realized what I had done after I sent it, and it was seen by my mom. I tried to delete it, but couldn't, as others had already opened the image. Weirdly, it wouldn't stand out when you looked at the pic. But when you saw it, you saw it. Luckily, my mom's reaction was to laugh so hard that she pissed her pants. Story 57. Not a nude, but funnier imho. I was reminiscing over the crazy sex I had with my ex last night. So I sexted her about how excited I was to do that all again tonight in very explicit detail. Well, I was so pussy-whipped, I didn't realize I sent like 4 raunchy paragraphs to my boss. Middle-aged Indian man sitting in front of me in a carpool with 2 other dudes in a 2-hour trip. Almost yeeted myself out the car in traffic when he turns around as I'm typing more to say you're the bottom in his thick accent. Story 58. No, but I got a new phone and number, and I guess there was a woman adamant I was. What I assume is the previous owner of said number. I was sent nudes and joked after not being able to convince her I sent a hot pic. I got a wow emoji, and the rest is history. Story 59. Professor forgot own laptop, and he used another, I think was his colleague one. On screen was photo with 3 girls. One of them had her hand in trousers. His colleague was around 40 years old. Girls on photo guess were around 15. Nobody commented. Most of students didn't notice hand of the girl. They taught that is his common daughter photo. Story 60. Not quite a nude to the wrong person, but a few years ago, a friend of mine, after a particularly boozy night, was at home in the bathroom trying to take drunk topless selfies to send to a guy. However, she also happened to be sitting on the toilet taking a crap and was so wasted she didn't realize she was actually live streaming to YouTube. She got some real weird people contacting her, asking if she was going to be doing more or if she had an OnlyFans. Story 61. We were all at a friend's wedding once, and my best friend gave me her phone and told me to look at all the pictures she had taken of the night. She clearly forgot that the photo before the wedding was of her completely naked and splayed out on the hotel bed. Everything in sight. clearly taken by her husband. I scrolled through the pictures, saw that one for half a second, and quickly handed her the phone back. Told her to keep taking picture, and just to send us all the pics she had later of the night. Story 62. No, but I sent a snap video once of me ripping a huge fart to this one random girl I knew from the gym by accident. Tried to never make eye contact with her again. Story 63. I brought my cat to the ER because he had a seizure. He had the seizure while I was on FaceTime with my girlfriend, and in her quick thinking, she recorded the seizure so I could show it to my vet. However, my contact pic was in the video, and when I sent the vet the video, the vet tech has to come out to the car and ask me to crop the nude contact pic and the words, "Hot Daddy" from the top. She came out and said, "Don't be embarrassed, but..." Story 64. My wife and my mom's husband have literally almost the same phone number. So a couple years ago, as a joke, I was sending her a hot pic, not something I have ever done before. And I kept saying to her, "I think I heard your phone ding," and she insisted it hadn't. So anyway, about 10 minutes later, I get a call from my brother, and he says, "Bro, I'm not sure, but I think you just sent Rob a hot pic." I don't get embarrassed east, so I laughed my ass off. Story 65. My GF sent me a nude while I was at work. I was pretty busy, so I said something like, "You're so hot, I'm going to wait till I'm done work to get all horned up." Well, I actually sent that to my boss, and to this day, my nickname is Horned Up. Story 66. I accidentally sexted my dad about 10 years ago. We didn't speak for a month after that and never acknowledged it. I was also not seeing anyone serious at the time, so I'm sure he was like, "Great, here goes my daughter." I also accidentally sent my realtor my boobs about 2 years ago. She wrote back, "You go, girl," and never mentioned it again. Story 67. I had a soldier in my platoon text me a photo of her naked butt. The pic was obviously meant for her boyfriend. It was awkward. I responded back stating she needed to double-check her message thread and that I did not want to see that or similar again. Story 68. Happened to me when I was trying to show a photo to my coworker. I opened my photo album and the first pic was my GF writing me reverse cowgirl. My immediate reaction was to turn the phone away and say sorry. She chuckled and we never talked about it again. Story 69. Not a nude, but when I first stated seeing results from working out, I took a pic bare-chested and posted it to FB, feeling proud of myself and hoping for some compliments. The very first response was from my mother asking, "Is this why you're not answering your phone?" Mom always knew the just right time to chime in. Story 70. My ex-mill was showing us holiday snaps on the PC, and there were nudes in the middle of them. Rather than exiting, she kept clicking through quickly, trying to get past them, and they got worse as she went. Panicking more, she clicked something that zoomed in. It was the most awkward moment of my life. Story 71. Yep, sent a hot pic to my best pal, female best pal. She had the same first name as a girl I was seeing, and I was bad at properly naming contacts. She sent back, "That's a shame. Neither a grower or a shower. Fair play. I found it hilarious." Story 72. I accidentally sent a text saying I wanted to have sex like bunnies all night to that night's babysitter instead of my husband. Oh my God. I die again every time I think about it. She still babysat that night. I just avoided eye contact. Story 73. Sent a nude to one of my clients accidentally. I wanted to die. Thankfully, she replied saying, "Hey babe, think these are for..." husband's name. "I'm glad to see you're feeling yourself after having the baby." Story 74. I have never sent one, but I have received a nude picture that I don't believe it was meant for me. One day, a 70Y/ a lady that usually helps out at a local church sent me a hot picture of her. The picture was a close-up of her pussy. Well, I'm not religious at all, but I knew her from a few concerts I helped to organize in the church. She serves as a helper. From that moment on, I tried, by all means, to act like nothing ever happened. My wife still speaks about it and laughs, saying it was intentional. I honestly don't believe it was. Story 75. I was sexting my boyfriend on Snapchat and getting pretty into it when I got a message from my best friend. Seeing her name on the top of my screen, I guess I got distracted and sent the message meant for my BF to her. I realized my duck up when I opened her message and realized she had gotten a picture from me. Her message was her saying she was considering died and needed someone to talk her out of it. Especially awkward because we've been in and out of having crushes on each other for years and just never happened to be into each other at the same time. So I responded to a cry for help from my best friend who had a crush on me with a nude with a seductive caption. As quickly as I could, I sent her a bunch of messages apologizing and trying to explain what just happened. She took it pretty well. I guess she thought it was pretty funny, and it did a lot to lighten her mood. I went over to hers, and we just talked for a bit, occasionally making jokes about it. We're still close friends and are both in long-term committed relationships, not with each other. Story 76. Not nudes, as back then that wasn't as big of a thing yet. Crappy cameras on phones back then. But like 14 years ago, I sent a dirty text to my boss that was meant for my boyfriend of the time. I was texting my BF on my lunch break. My boss was also texting me, wanting me to bring him back some takeaway as he couldn't get away for lunch. No biggie. I don't mind picking him up something. Well, when I went to reply back to my BF, I didn't realize I was still in my boss's chat bubble. So I typed out a long and insanely detailed reply of a super dirty scene in a movie I wanted to try out with him watching, then participating. I hit send, and the moment it shows sent, I noticed the conversation bubbles look weird and oh crap, this is my married boss, not my BF. Now I work in a male-dominated field. I have to put up firm boundaries with the guys to keep them in line, especially back then when I was super young and just out of school. I rush out of the restaurant and fly back to work. I run into my building, which my boss is the manager of in this location. He was the big boss. And I run into the doorway of our shared office. I'm his secretary. And I look at him, and he is laughing his ass off. His face is beet red. Boss, wow, Yamnoking, so that obviously wasn't for me. But damn, I never knew you had that in you. I always acted very professional and buttoned up at work. My boss's assistant manager has an office right next to us, and the wall is made of glass, so he sees this going down and comes over. Assist, what's going on? Boss, got this really fun text from Yamnoking, wanna see? I freak out, not realizing he is only joking and would never do that. I run and literally, not making this up, jump over his desk. I grab his phone and go to delete the text. He's just laughing like Christmas came early. The whole time I am babbling, I was apologizing and berating him all at once. I couldn't find the text, though. He ended up telling me he deleted it right after reading as he knew it wasn't meant for him, and if his wife saw it, she would go nuts. He waved the assistant manager off and never told him what was in the text. He teased me a bit, and I explained what happened with my face hidden in my hands because it was so hard to face him after him reading that. I eventually left that job. I was told by the assistant manager a couple years later in passing that my boss had a huge crush on me. Ends up his wife was cheating on him, but he wouldn't do anything while he was married. And with the age divide of 14 years, he thought he was too old for me. I respect him for keeping his crush to himself and not trying to hit on me while married, no matter the circumstances of his marriage. Bonus story, this also happened like 14 years ago. My ex-BF had a flip phone, had 2 screens, small screen on the outside, large screen on the inside, and a keyboard. BTW, I miss actual keyboards on phones instead of touchscreens. He had taken a photo of me, not naked, but in my undies in his bed. Not gonna lie, it was actually a really good photo. He saved it as the wallpaper to his inside screen, and I told him I wasn't comfortable with that. He said, No. Baby, trust me, no one will see it. A few hours later, we are going to dinner with his mother and her BF, and she sees his phone and says, hey, that's cool. And my dumbass ex says, oh yeah, and check it out, it has a full keyboard. And he flips open the ducking phone, and she sees me in my ducking bra and panties on her son's bed on his screen. My ex just laughs and goes, oops, and closes it. After dinner, I deleted the photo off his phone and never took naughty photos after that or let any be taken off me, which is a good lesson I learned early in life.